Work, second work. Time consumed, time spent. No time to think, no time to reflect. All there is what's next. Never enough time for dreams, yet too much of it is spent dreaming. Days, weeks, months go by. I may be present, I may be there, but it's an act. You talk to me, I respond, but I'm never fully there. I've never understood how people can just relax and do nothing. For me, relaxing is something I have to work to do, and every time I try, I fail. I just feel unproductive, like that time would have been better spent elsewhere. But somehow, that never stops me from trying, from wanting to change. Forced exposure. What a joke. And I don't even know what's wrong with me. Could be any acronym under the sun for all I care. All I know is at least when I committed to this trip, I felt like I needed a change, a reason to break the routine that I love so much. I just can't become who I want to be without changing who I am. At least that must have been what I was thinking. I sure don't know why else I would volunteer myself for this. I even broke it down by the hour, thinking if I could just do as many things as other people enjoy, I would just be someone else. That would be the breakthrough I needed. But the me that wrote this lives in the past, and it's always easier to make plans than actually follow through with them. Still, part of me feels like I'm grasping at straws. As beautiful as this place is, it's like I can't focus on it. All I can think about right now is what I'm missing out on, and I think at the end of the day, that's what I really wanted to change about myself. Living life distracted. I guess past me was right about that at least. And it's also not like everything I planned is oh so terrible. Yeah, maybe I can just start small, do the things I know I'll enjoy, and just keep my fingers crossed that I'll find the change I'm looking for on the way. I think that's all I really can do at the moment. And the funny thing is, it's not like I don't enjoy new things. I actually do quite a bit, but only under certain circumstances. I protect this routine I have so much that for me to really be ready for something new, I need to plan for it months in advance. And last minute changes are completely out of the question. That's just how I've always been. And I know, it's not normal, but it's me. And it's also something that part of me has always wished was different. I've always wished I could be like other people I know, able to drop everything for a last-minute trip or a last-minute plan, and not only do it, but enjoy it. Be fully present while being flexible. And maybe that's just something I've got to work on, but right now, that's about the furthest from how I really feel. I'm hoping past me was onto something though, that at least a little more forced exposure gets me one step closer. Maybe I'll have some fun along the way too. The first step on my journey after the gym was the aquarium. I'm still not scared of the ocean, but I'm at least getting more comfortable with the idea of it. And if part of my goal is to learn to live in the moment and not in my thoughts, this is a good place to do it because there's a lot to think about here. Like every time I travel, the worry eventually starts to subside, but only a bit. And maybe subside isn't the right word, but you accept it a bit more, or at least give up on trying to get out of it. cool as the live animals were, what I was looking forward to most today was actually this 360-degree cinema. The whole thing dedicated to a whale short film. Sounds a little weird on the surface, but if my goal is to make a movie someday, seeing as many as I can is just simply unavoidable. Even if I have to see them twice so I don't just think about how they were made. A couple days passed, and as I went through my list, I checked off more and more. Sure, they were all low-hanging fruit, but they were things I knew I would enjoy. Plus, doing something is better than nothing. After more trips to the gym, more shave ice, and even more food, more water activities were on the agenda. Not the first time I'd done either of these, but my hope is doing them again will allow me to actually focus on them. Nothing against the aquarium, but actually being in the environment is a totally different experience. It wasn't until I was passed by a turtle that I truly saw a glimpse of what being present felt like. For a moment, and just a moment, that stole my entire attention. Sadly, that illusion was quickly broken. I can't breathe underwater after all. But if that moment taught me anything, it was that this wasn't a fool's quest. Being actually present is possible. And weirdly, it didn't happen when I was working towards it. It was almost like it was a byproduct of something else. I don't really know yet, but I'm hoping to find out. Sadly, no matter how many things I checked off my initial itinerary, I hadn't found the change I was looking for. No new progress, no more in the present, not really any less anxious. The second anything triggers one of those feelings, all of them come rushing back. Distraction, panic, fear, the roadblock. It seems like everything I've tried so far hasn't really made me any progress. Maybe past me is onto something again. I wanted to change because I felt stuck in what I always do. But while I've been here, have I really done anything new? Not my first time at the aquarium, not my first time boogie boarding. I'm going to the same gym at the same time, borrowing the same car, driving the same roads, and eating at almost all of the same places. In fact, the only thing that's new about this trip is the turtle I ran into by accident. I'm just taking the same trip I did last time again. And since I'm only doing things I like, it's just my routine again. I've changed nothing but the scenery. No wonder I'm not inspired yet. No inspiration because nothing is really new. I'm just me in a different place. Still, I know that change is possible, and I think it's still worth pursuing. But I'm not getting there doing what I've done before. I'm not getting there doing what I would do. So maybe I should try things I wouldn't. The next morning, I woke up ready to make a new plan. This time, it wasn't going to be like something I'd ever done before. But how am I going to figure out what something I wouldn't do is? I guess I could simply make a plan with everything I wasn't comfortable with from my original research, but, I mean, even writing this down like this, I'm already in my habits. I plan everything out all the time. Maybe the best way to find something I wouldn't do is to go in with no plan whatsoever. Then I can just say yes to everything and survive purely on impulse. Maybe that's how I can learn to be fully present in the moment, exclusively doing what sounds fun in the now. $1,000,000 question though, do I skip the gym? Over 4 years without a rest day sure makes not going something I definitely wouldn't do, and doing those kind of things is one of my goals for the day. But already, it seems like I found a limit to that. This just isn't a bridge I'm ready to cross. But everything after the gym today is fair game. Whatever sounds fun in the moment, I'm gonna go do. And I can't even begin to explain how stressed I am going into today with no plan whatsoever. I like to maximize every moment I have, make sure I'm not wasting time waiting for something or missing something entirely. But for the next couple days, I don't get to think about any of that. And first things first is seeing a place I've never been. Further up on the island, there's a farmer's market today only. Seems like the perfect place to start. Finally, something completely new. Maybe this is my ticket to inspiration, or simply my way to stay in the moment, even if it's a short one. Unfortunately, the downside to not having a plan for the day became apparent almost immediately. I arrived about 10 minutes before everything started closing, and other than trying a couple samples, I really couldn't stay that long. I think I spent more time looking at the local cars than anything, but I can do that anywhere. Next up on the list was something I simply heard about nearby. Jumping partway onto the road to Hana lies a waterfall in the middle of a jungle, and that sounds truly new. Too bad today was locals only parking, and even though I was with my friend who lives here, they didn't let us in. No worries. When nothing's part of the plan, everything's part of the plan. So on the way back, I stopped by a nursery I'd been before, only to find out that they too weren't open for lunch yet. A bummer for my quest to try food I didn't research ahead of time, but a blessing in disguise for my battle to be present. And other than a cleaning crew, it seems I pretty much had this whole place to myself. My hope was to be able to look around long enough to find something that would take my attention and truly bring me into the moment. That's what I want to get better at after all. And it was exactly then that I had an idea. As someone whose mind is always on 10 things at once, what would be the furthest thing I could do from that? What if, as an exercise, I tried to simply clear my head? I've never really understood meditation, but I've also never really tried it. My brain switches from one idea to the next way too fast, and it's just never something I thought I'd enjoy. But maybe it's worth a shot. I don't have high hopes, but they do say it helps you live in the moment. And there are literal centuries of studies behind it. Whatever. Sure. I'll give it a shot, but the second my mind wanders, I'm calling it quits. Close my eyes, think of nothing. Think of nothing. Just ignore the drip. Just think of nothing. I wonder if my plants at home are getting enough water. Similar to that, it's also funny how many indoor plants I have in common with this place. They must like the humidity. No wonder they need so much water at home. No, stop. This is what you're trying to avoid. Be present, ignore the noise. Just like I expected. I just don't think this works for me. At least not right now. It is truly something I've never done before, though. It took about 2 days with no plan whatsoever for me to realize that it just wasn't working at all. Utter failure, actually. I'd miss things because I didn't know in time or show up and they were closed. It seems there is a lot to say about having a plan. Maybe going full impulse wasn't the right choice. So I slowly migrated back to what I knew. Back to places I'd been and back to plans I'd already made. And to no surprise to me, what I put effort into plan a while back worked out flawlessly. Reservations for dinner at a place that I'd never tried, but one I'd researched enough to know that I would enjoy. Beautiful atmosphere, new, and since it was planned, it absolutely worked. And the weirdest part of all was this was the second time I saw a turtle live in the wild. More than one, actually. And just like the first time, that was all I could really focus on. The second time I really remember being present. All a turtle can really think about is what they're actively doing. So why can't I? That was a thought I pondered the rest of the evening. I still don't understand this. Going in with a full plan clearly didn't work. The plan was all I could think about, and I didn't live in the moment. But on the other end of the spectrum, it's not like having no plan at all amounted to anything other than failing to enjoy things I'd not done before. I'm starting to run out of new ideas too. And it's not like I have any new inspiration yet. Maybe there's a difference between trying to become a better version of yourself and trying to be someone you're not. I think that's a balance I need to find. I need to find a way to not be so attached to my routine that I won't try something new. But it also makes no sense to only do things I wouldn't normally do in the hopes I become someone else. I've got to find a way to do both, don't I? Be willing to try something new, but only when the needs I have to make me sane are already met. Learning flexibility, in other words. I didn't go into the next couple days with a plan, but I also didn't go in without one. I planned to have a loose plan. My plan consisted of a couple things that I needed to do each day, and all the remaining time was left intentionally open, with the intention of using it for whatever sounded fun in the moment. Controlled chaos, in other words. I wonder if I'm confusing change with wishing I was someone else. If certain parts of me were different, I would be an altogether new person. And I guess if I'm only focusing on the parts of myself I don't like, being someone different doesn't sound terrible. But the issue is trying to change those parts of you changes the rest of you as well. The good, the bad. I guess it's all a part of who I am at the end of the day. And I think in the long run, it's a lot healthier to just try and improve who I am rather than completely abandon it. Maybe it just can't work any other way. A huge part of this trip for me was food, and a lot of it actually goes hand in hand with research for me. I planned out every single restaurant, and I spent a lot of time researching each one, but only because it means a lot to me. The reason behind that is because I like to cook. In fact, a little too much. It goes hand in hand with the routine issue, but I try to make a completely new meal every single day. I think I tried over 300 new dinner recipes this last year alone, so in a weird way, I was scared of trying a place I didn't research ahead of time for fear I wouldn't like it, that it would be a waste of what little time I have here. And the funny thing is this, 2 of the restaurants that I enjoyed the most weren't even on that plan to begin with. They were simply close by. And weirdly, they're ones I'm gonna remember more than anything. And just like the food, the locations go hand in hand. This is one of those places where you just never know what you're gonna get until you pull over to the side of the road. And had I followed my plan down to the hour like normal, stopping here just wouldn't have happened. And I think that would have truly been a mistake. I was finally becoming comfortable with this whole idea of controlled chaos. Each day had what I expected, but also something new to look forward to. There were really only 2 issues. It was almost time for me to head home, and I don't think my mind was ever truly in the moment and empty. I was enjoying everything, but I was also thinking of other things at the same time. Whether it was thinking of the past or dreading what I had to do when I got home, even though I was enjoying every moment, there was always something on my mind. Even if what I was thinking about was where I was at, my mind was never truly clear, but I also wonder if it's supposed to be. What if I couldn't move? My world confined to the space around me, where I'm located. What if all that could be done is sit there, look around, and dream? Would there still be a fear of dreaming too much? Or is dreaming simply the way to live? With these and other thoughts on my mind, I continued my quest, repeating things that brought me glimpses on what it feels like to truly be in the moment. But rather than staying where it was comfortable, going further this time, trying to see something new in a place that I'd been before, in a world that I'd seen before. And this behavior was rewarded by even deeper glimpses into the present, moments I just simply couldn't take my eyes or thoughts from. The final day before I return to my routine I love so much. In other words, the final day I'll possibly have to figure out how to clear my mind. And on today's agenda was something completely unplanned once more. A working lavender farm halfway up the mountain. So high up that cars and people struggle to breathe. Away from the busy coast, away from the noise of the cities. All that's really up here is you. It seems like everywhere I go, he seems to be here. Stillness personified. It's crazy to think that someone depicted so peacefully believed that life is suffering. Suffering comes from desire, and because we're all human, the only way to truly be at peace is to get rid of desire entirely and live a good life. And by its own definition, that's an almost impossible goal. But with a view like this, it makes you wonder if it is worth working towards. For now, I think I'd just be content with not constantly being distracted and having a million things on my mind at once. If I could just clear my head in this hectic world, even for a little bit, I feel like I would have made some progress. Fine, I'll give it one more shot. The issue is, I just can't think of nothing. The second I think of nothing, I think of thinking of nothing. And then by default, I just listen to what's around me. I hear the bees on the flowers, the wind from being so high up, even the rusty old windmill. That's what I hear. And right now, that's what I'm thinking about. My mind isn't clear, far from it. But seeing the Buddha again makes me wonder if it's really supposed to be. If my mind is truly empty in a place like this, am I really appreciating where I'm at? Or is that in itself just me taking it for granted? Maybe there's a difference between clearing my mind entirely and clearing my mind from the distractions that simply aren't part of the moment. I think, given the kind of person I am, I'm always going to have a weird relationship with travel. The first time I really did it as an adult, I was scared to do it. And this time, I was anxious. But each time I do it, it seems to be getting better. And I think for who I want to be as a person in the next 10 years, only doing more of it is going to be an absolute necessity. So sooner than later, I'll just have to get over my irrational fear. Every time I leave, I hope to bring back a better version of myself. One with new views, new opinions. One who's that teeny bit closer to the dreams I have. There's absolutely no sense in trying to become someone you're not. Much better to strive to be a better version of yourself. Nobody's perfect after all. It looks like at the end of everything, there's only two things you can work towards each day. Being present and mindful in every single moment, and making sure those improvements you made to yourself don't get lost in the hustle and bustle of life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider dropping a like and subscribing for more. That's the best way you can help support me and my content. Either way, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day.